What has transpired over the last few weeks has been absolutely hilarious. It's like a uh, hilariously slow train wreck with a low cut top.
What?
The OK Boomer Girl is the perfect metaphor for most of the Bernie supporters you'll see on Twitter. Simping is for kings.
But when someone is talking about guys simping for a girl, I just don't understand what's wrong with, like, worshiping a girl. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Girls deserve to be worshipped. Alright? Simping isn't bad. Simping is king shit, okay? You're a king if you're not afraid to simp.
Somebody who says simping is for king.
White knight powers, activate! It's okay, baby. It's okay. Boomer Daddy is here. You're safe now. You're safe from that mean old neckbeard. That's right. We are talking about e-girls today. Thoughts? Twitch thoughts? I don't know what people are actually calling them these days. I don't actually follow any of these girls online, but I'm pretty well aware of them, mostly because I see a lot of people on YouTube talking about them, and I don't understand the animosity towards them. Personally, I think they're a gift from heaven. But I just want to talk about this a little bit. I feel like I'm in a good position to talk about this because I have a new YouTube channel, and as it's been evolving, my videos are getting longer. They take longer for me to make. It's not uncommon for them to now take a couple of days where I'm putting stuff together and doing some editing, and a lot of times I'll have a semi-finished product and then I'll kind of sleep on it for a night and I'll come back to it. So there's a fair amount of time that I'm putting into them. I'm hardly getting any views on them. I just do it because, I'm hoping that they'll pick up and maybe something will come of it, but I enjoy doing it too. But at the same time, I don't hold any animosity towards a very attractive girl who just turns a camera on herself and gets tons of views and is making money. I mean, the reality is, that's what guys like. Guess what? This is not my first day on the planet. Straight guys like looking at very attractive young women. And if those women want to put a camera on themselves and show off a little bit of skin, hey, I mean, more power to them. I mean, if I had the ability to do that and make a ton of money, I mean, why would you ever want to work in like a warehouse or like fast food or, any kind of job where you got someone's going to be barking orders at you when you could just stay home and, the comfort of your own home and, wear something a little bit revealing and, you just end up with like a couple hundred guys watching you every night and, they're just feeding you money. I mean, good on them. I wish I could do it, but I can't. That's just not the reality of how the world works. Back in the day, it was really hard to try to get a gander at a well-endowed looking girl. I mean, as I've mentioned in several of my past videos, I'm in my mid-40s now. And so all these things that we have at our fingertips, like I didn't have any of this stuff when I was, a teenager or in my early 20s. I couldn't just turn on a computer and look at, these incredible looking girls that are just like kind of flaunting themselves off like that. How many people can relate to this?
Get a good look, Costanza?
See? That's how it was. If you wanted to check out a girl's assets like that, you had to be all covert about it. Secretive. You had to, steal a quick look and then turn away, because you knew if you got caught, there's a good chance you would be publicly shamed right on the spot. There was none of this, internet shaming where you could just turn off your computer and then not even know that people were upset with you. But back then, if someone caught you doing something, of an illicit nature, they might call you out right on the spot. And then other people who were kind of gathered in that vicinity, they would see you getting called out on the spot, and then you would be publicly shamed. I have a story, actually, where I can recount this quite vividly. When I was in the 7th grade, there was a class that I needed to get to. It was like going from 6th period to 7th period. Wherever I was coming from and whatever class I was going to, I had to go up a flight of stairs and then wherever I was going. And at that exact same time, there was a girl who was a year older than me. She was in the 8th grade. She was always coming down those stairs at the exact same time. So we were intersecting at this one particular time period. And as an 8th grader, she was one of those gals that she just developed early. And honestly, this is my first memory of a girl that just developed fully at a very young age. And I just remember the show that she used to put on for me, the Jiggle Show. The funny thing is, I don't even remember how I started noticing her. I mean, there was 2 things that I noticed about her. But I don't know if it's because at that particular time in the 7th grade, if that's when puberty just kicked in. And then at that moment, I went from just being interested in action figures to being really interested in melons for some reason. I remember my dad, it's probably my mom put him up to this. She's like, you got to have, this birds and the bees talk with your son. And my dad was never like a real, like, red-blooded, manly man. Like, we never talked about girls or sex or anything. So I think my mom was like, yeah, you have to have this talk with him. And I remember it being like super awkward because we were in the car going someplace, and all of a sudden he just started talking about how, when a man gets older, he might start having feelings for a woman, and when that happens, he'll get an erection. That's exactly what he said to me. He didn't say anything else. He didn't really explain what an erection was. He mentioned something about like my body part getting bigger, but that was about it. And he didn't explain to me like what happens next and what I would want to do with that newly enlarged part of me. My mom divorced him a couple of years later. I don't think for that, but what if that was the reason she divorced him?
She's like, your son doesn't know what to do with his erection. I want a divorce!
The point is, he wasn't really around that much all through my teenage years. Anyways, getting back to this 7th grade, 8th grade crush that I had. So every day when I had to go from that 6th period to 7th period, this is the validation. If I ever needed validation that I am not gay, this is it. Because I still remember this girl quite vividly and this scenario and this thing that happened to me. I got caught. I got caught staring at him. I would leave that class, whatever class that I was leaving, and heading up those stairs. What's funny is I would always have like a smile on my face. I just remember being like kind of happy. I'd be leaving that class. I'd be like, all right. It's like, I'm going to go up those stairs and I'm going to just see something that makes me feel like really good inside. I don't even understand why. And so I was walking up the stairs one day and I was feeling all good. And down she came and, things were just kind of, they were like mesmerizing. They were just kind of bouncing and kind of jiggling a little bit. All of a sudden, she had this, I had never even noticed this other girl before, but apparently, like, she had an unattractive friend that was always with her, and I just never noticed her. I just made this quick drawing to kind of depict, like, how this went down, but the ugly one caught me staring at, like, these beautiful melons, which I still, at the time, I didn't understand why I was so mesmerized by them. I just was. And, her ugly friend caught me, and she called me out. She said,
don't stare at her boobs.
And right there in that moment, I froze up. I was like, yeah, I was doing that. And then I looked down immediately. And then I think from that point on, like, I was afraid to look. That's what happened to me. And I don't want to say that I'm blaming my dad, but I'm kind of blaming my dad. He wasn't really around, that much longer after that because my parents got divorced. But I feel like if I had had a dad who was like a real, like, American manly dad, if he was just asking me, hey, girls that you like at school, you notice their bodies changing, looking all good. Yeah, we never had those kind of conversations because if we did, I probably would have told him this story. I would have said, Dad, this is a real pretty girl that I see every day, and she got a real nice shape to her. And she has a real ugly friend who caught me staring at her. And see, if I had a supportive dad, and if I could have had this conversation with him, like my dad would have said, this is what I would say to my son, who was lacking in confidence in the 7th grade. I would have said, oh, you got caught? He's like, yeah, so what? You're gonna get caught doing that all the time. What does this well-endowed girl's friend look like? And I would have been like, yeah, she kind of looks like Yoda, only less attractive. And then my dad could have been like, ugh, like, what do you even care what she thinks? And I'd be like, you're right, Dad. But that conversation only exists in my head now. And so when that girl caught me, I didn't know what to do. I tucked my balls in between my legs. And that was the end. Again, the only good thing that came out of it was this validation that I was like, well, at least I know that I'm into girls. Because I can't remember what class I was leaving, what class I was headed to. I barely remember that well-endowed girl's face. I just remember that mountainous view that she was giving me on a daily basis until her nasty Yoda-looking girlfriend caught me. But getting back to the e-girls, another thing that I've been wondering is, what do you think old thoughts think about this whole new e-girl trend? Because the things that are making young, attractive girls these days either, want to turn, well, part of it is obvious, right? They realize that they can make easy money doing this. But what gets them to the point where they're willing to just aim a camera at themselves and kind of, just kind of exploit themselves? I'm sure the same reasons that occurred 30 years ago, occur now. You have a girl who, she might be lacking in confidence. She might be from a broken home. Maybe she had a stepdad or an uncle or a stepbrother or something that kind of got in there and, did some things to her, kind of scrambled her mind. And now she's just looking for that validation, from men, and she's getting it. Plus she can make some money. If you got like an old thought who, she'd be like 45, 50 years old now, seeing all this, she must be like, oh, man, when I was 18, in order to get out of my terrible family situation, I just went out on the run, and I eventually ended up in a truck stop strip joint. I got harassed by the manager and the patrons on a daily basis. Maybe I got raped. And the only thing that I got out of it was a drinking habit, a drug habit, just a bunch of nasty tattoos I didn't even really think about. I just didn't care because I didn't respect myself. And you mean to tell me that these days, the girls that are coming from that same background that I had, they can just stay home in their apartment and all these guys are just going to send them money just for sitting there? Well, that's nuts. I support capitalism. And if someone recognizes a market trend and they can exploit it to their advantage and they're not really hurting someone, because at the end of the day, if you say to someone, hey, give me $1, and they give me $1, then, what's the problem, right? So I don't have a problem with the e-thought thing. With that said, I would never give any of these girls money. I mean, why would I? Because I could just go on there and watch them for free. And so there's no point in giving them money. They're already there. And just by chance, if they wanted to, I mean, I don't go on Twitch or anything, but if I was, and if they just noticed me in their chat, I don't even know how that works. If they notice you in the chat and they notice that you're not donating, if they'll block you or something, it's like, so what? There's like a million more of them. You just go to the next one. And my one message to, the guys who are simping for these girls, save your money. If you take that money and you invest in yourself, you put it towards a business, and if your business becomes financially successful, then you can actually, believe it or not, you can get a caliber of girl that you're watching as your actual girlfriend. Because if you're simping for a girl, all you're doing is paying for her to go on vacations and such with her actual boyfriend. That's what you're doing. And just as a side note, I'm going to put this out there as well, because there's you got all these MGTOW people who, they figured out an exploit too. They've seen enough guys get burned by girls, and so they're like, oh yeah, send me money and, I'll tell you how to live your life. Well, I would not send money to a guy either. Why would I want to pay for another guy to live a better life than me? That makes no sense. Invest in yourself.